Namaskaram, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. You would have just seen my everyday practice, something that I just enjoy doing, my time, my alone time. So I end up exploring different movements, trying to see how much of stamina and control I have gained after training myself slowly with different muscle group exercises. For many of you, you may not be aware, but few years back, I was going through a lot of health issues in sense. I had multiple disc injuries and cervical disc herniations, and because of that, I had knee issues, and I also had plantar fasciitis, and apart from that, I fractured few toes, one at a time though. I waited for the other to recuperate before I ruined the next one. So, dance to me is not about trying to just practice adavas or movements or whatever technical term you would like to address it, whether it is karanas or charis or whatever it is, because I've had to take many steps behind to actually analyze what would be the required muscle groups for every movement of what I practice, whether it is Bharatanatyam or whether it has been Odissi, or whether it has been Kuchipudi, or whether it has been a bit of Mohiniyattam, thanks to all those mentors. Something that I've been wanting to do from when I was a kid. But the thing is, I do realize that it was not just my disc herniations and the other issues that I had. It was also the fact that I was an athlete to begin with, and being in the track and field events with doing hurdles or whether it was volleyball or throw ball, I realized that there are so many different muscle groups that you have to address, and those specific muscles have to be stretched properly. And everything that I'm just trying to say right now does not apply for everyone. You also have to consider the body constitution for each and every individual. So over the years, I have realized, in spite of physiotherapy, the best of physiotherapy and all sorts of treatments, and in fact, Natyasastra's Anga and Upanga, the major limbs and minor limbs, the exercises that have been prescribed in Natyashastra, even those, I realized that to do those as well, you need to have some amount of basic core strength and flexibility. So that is where I realized that if I tried to do the Shirovedas, given that I had 3 cervical disc herniations, it did not really help me to do all the head variations. Ironically, though that is also prescribed as an exercise in Natyashastra, it did not allow me to do that because there was a lot of stiffening that I was going through, and it was causing a lot of inflammation. So it was like a vicious cycle for me. So for example, doing the Lolitam, where you rotate the head all around, something that I'm able to do now, I was not able to do it, and if I tried, I would actually herniate a disc, and I would have to physically, with my fingers, push it back in, and I can feel the relief instantly. So it is very strange. I don't know if it was bad fate or if it was a blessing in disguise that I actually went through all those health issues, because I right now have given all my experiences with being an athlete, track and field sports person, and being in racket sports. And I've also done 3 years of gymnastics in my growing years in my middle to high school. So I know though a lot of those things, the stretches that my coaches had given me somehow has actually come in handy, and it has helped me for dance. Though I've had people tell me, are you trying to do some kind of gymnastics or what is it? I mean, everything has already been given, and there is yoga, there is this, there is that. But as I said, not everything applies for everyone at all times. So you have to stand back and actually see the whole picture. So you have to literally, when I get a student, I literally have to diagnose the child or an adult, and I have to see, because some people by nature end up standing lopsided and they don't realize it, and that's something that they've been doing from childhood, or because they are tired, or if it's the backpack, or it's just a lifestyle. And for someone like that, I cannot just start off with, let's do push-ups, let's do this, let's do that. So I have to first, address that issue. And then there are some where if you have to do Mandala Sthana like this, or you have to do Aindra Mandala, a lot of people actually have this issue where the feet actually move out quite a bit, but their knee is like inward. And that can cause a lot of issues, and when you don't address that condition, it is not the knee that is the problem. The problem is literally with their pelvis closed in. So for some, by nature, from birth, they have a pelvis that is a little more curved in. So you need to address those issues instead of starting them off with Tattadavu or whatever basic adabus it is for that particular dance style. The worst is to be able to, force them to do, not force them, to start off on their journey into doing all the charis or, the sthanas, or to get them into doing karanas, because in my own personal experience, though I'm extremely grateful to have actually learned this, there is only to a certain extent that a guru can actually take you in your path. And it is up to you as an individual after some time to stand back and analyze what affects you the right way and the wrong way. So, for example, when I started off doing charis and karanas, even if I were to leave it for like a few days, let's say like 3 or 4 days, given my history of disc issues, it would flare up. I would go through so much inflammation and sciatica and so many issues. So then I realized, okay, there is something wrong. So just like martial arts, or whether it's Kalaripayattu or swimming, or for any sport or any performing arts, you need to train your body for that particular style. And you should also remember that your own body constitution and how your body will react should be taken into account. Hence, it cannot be done, in my opinion, that's how I practice teaching. I cannot take large groups and then teach. The reason being is that I have realized that when you do large groups, you do not have the time. Let's be practical, you don't have the time. You need to finish the class in an hour or hour and a half. And you cannot actually have a one-on-one interaction with the body constitution of each and every student. So the smaller the group, the better it is. That is how, that works for me. So I'm not saying that, that's how everyone should do. To each his own or her own. So the thing is, you have to, what I'm trying to say is that all these movements that I've been doing here, right, they may not have a particular sequence or connection to whatever I've been doing. It's just practice. It's just my way of testing to see how much my balance is improved. So for example, I realized that if I had to do the Dola Padachari, right, I would have to be able to raise my heel. And to do that, I cannot do this, or I can't try to, you should not try to accommodate the movement for your body. So, or you should not try to use your body to accommodate the movement. Either way is wrong. Instead, one has to remember that to do this, you have to feel elongated in your upper body and then straighten yourself. And when you lift, you have to go up and down in the straight line. So if I have to lift that, I have to remember that one, I need to balance on one leg. So you need to find the center of balance, and for each one, it is different because it depends on your weakness in your ankle or your body mass or so many other things. So that being said, the other thing is I'm also at a point where I have bent my knees. So it is an Aramati, and I have to have my hip feeling comfortable to actually open up. So my inner thigh has to have enough strength, right? And I should also be able to lift up and come down effortlessly. So to do all that, there are different muscle groups that need to be addressed. So that's what I was trying to get at. So I'm very thankful once again to all those who have actually shaped me for who I am today. But I'm so happy that I've actually embarked on my journey, which has taken me in a very different route, where I have created my own syllabus, own way of analyzing and teaching. So it gives me an inner satisfaction, and I'm so happy for that. Of course, none of this could be possible without the grace of the Almighty. And though, as I said, your teachers can take you only to a certain point, and after which, when you need guidance, the best guide is the universe. And if you have faith, and if you practice sincerely, and if you really want something and you work towards it, then your prayers are definitely answered, and somehow or the other, the answer just opens up to you right in front of your eyes. When I learned the Karanas, there were some things which were I felt like there was a gap somewhere. I didn't know what it was. I was enjoying doing it, and I still enjoy it, and I think I will always enjoy it because it gives me peace of mind. I don't know, it's something that calms me. So the thing is, I've realized that just being a Bharatanatyam artist actually did not help me. So I feel that to learn Karanas, you need to also have some amount of guidance and exposure to other art forms, which I'm so happy that I've had and I continue to have. And that has actually made me realize practicing different art forms, learning the basics, and how their techniques are different from the other classical style has made me realize how connected we are when we do the Karanas. And I'm enjoying it even more because of that. So, I should also thank Vijay Satpathy ji for, starting me on in Odissi, and just one class, and I was able to actually understand the difference in the bhangis. It hurt, but nothing comes for free. Everything comes with a lot of hard work, and I have so much respect for all the artists from different art forms throughout the world because of that. And I think it is my duty to actually learn at least a little bit. I can never become proficient in any of in all the art forms, but for me to appreciate Karanas, for me to appreciate what I'm doing, and to justify that I am doing it correct, I really needed to explore and learn bits of certain techniques from other art forms, and that has actually made me feel fulfilled. So I just wanted to tell all the practitioners there, especially the upcoming dancers, keep your mind open and stay patient and observe and try to understand each and every movement, because there is a purpose and there is a science behind it. The other thing is when you try to lift your leg, right? So when you try to lift your leg, I've noticed a lot of people bending their body in front, and that is so wrong because it can actually cause other issues for your back. As I said, having certain issues has actually made me realize that I have to approach all these movements very carefully and very logically and scientifically. So otherwise it's going to cause a lot of trouble, and after that there's no fun in doing these movements. So I realized that when I have to lift my leg up, it has to be not from my upper body, but it has to be in the thigh joint. So there are so many things, which is actually, thigh joint is the hardest to strengthen, and it's the glutes that are even worse to strengthen because they're all very sensitive, and too much of it can cause overburn, and too little of it can cause weakness and inflammation. So there has to be a certain balance for it. And the other thing was, it was when I went for Odyssey that I realized that the Parshva Veda that they do, the Parshva movement that they do, takes so much effort. I mean, I genuinely appreciate all the Odyssey practitioners because it is not easy. While it looks beautiful and graceful, and I'm always, gaga over it, I have a lot more appreciation for it now, and all the karanas that actually require me to do that, I'm able to enjoy doing it better, and I'm actually feeling like I'm not stiff over there. So if I have to do the Tribhangi, when I have to do the Adhyartika, let's say, if I have to do that, initially it used to be where I did 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. And I was like, okay, that's not actually hard, except for the fact that the glutes burn. It's not that hard. And then I realized, okay, it is not that. There must be something else. It can't be that easy. And then I realized that if I had to do that, I had to push the Parshva out over here. So that is when it is a true Bhangi. That does not mean I'm pushing my hip out. I'm still in my Mandalasthana there. But as I said, I'm still in the Mandalasthana. I can lift one leg up, except that I'm placing it here. So, but my Parshva visibly moves here to the side. And so when I do it, it's my head that's also tilted. And this is what I said, when I have to do the Adhyartika Chari in Tribhangi, so I'm centered, but it is my Parshva that actually moves. So this actually takes a lot of effort. While Parshva Veda is given and prescribed in Natya Shastra, just doing the Parshva Veda alone does not really bring this flexibility. There are so many other things. The timing to breathe, because the Parshva area, the sides, is a very sensitive area again, and if it is like doing pranayama, the breathing technique in yoga, in the right way. And if it is not done, you can have an air lock, and it can be painful. It can be very painful because the air will get stuck somewhere in this region, and breathing becomes pain by itself. And it is very hard to get it out unless you go for a oil massage, or there are techniques. Only some people are proficient in taking out such air locks, and in the meantime it's very painful. So it is very important to know. So you have to remember that you should first loosen this sides a bit by doing the simplest of stretches and movements, and then ease into doing the Anga Vedas. As I said, when I did the Anga Vedas, this is from my experience, again, it does not apply to everyone. I'm just sharing my experience. And the thing is, when you do the Anga Vedas, it actually requires some amount of strength. And how to approach the Anga Vedas, you can't just start off with doing everything. Angas and Upangas have to be done. The major and minor limb exercises that are prescribed in Natya Shastra by Sage Bharata Muni cannot be approached directly. So for me, in my case, I realized that though they are the vyayamas, the exercises given, to do that, I needed to strengthen my inner core and so many other things where, other muscle groups where I was going through inflammation. So the weather matters, the health matters, the food and your body constitution and so many things. So when I practice here, it is cold and rainy and cold in all formats, and there are only 4 or 5 months maximum where you have some decent amount of warmth and heat. Yeah, unlike in places like Chennai, which is a tropical place, or any other tropical place where your body is warmed up from inside. So here it takes a long time, and you have the propensity to develop muscle inflammation very easily. So you have to be very careful how you practice in various regions. So the weather really makes a big difference. So how I teach here is different from how I would have taught back home in Chennai. So many things, as I said, have to be taken into consideration. And I'm also thankful to Paduka for her extensive research and opening up this ocean of a huge chapter in Natya Shastra, which would definitely took a lifetime for her to research and give to all her students. But as I said, there is only so much one can do. Like in my case, learning the Karanas was a dream come true, and I was so happy. I thought I would never get an opportunity to learn, but it so happened, as I said, if you really want something, the universe literally works to help you go towards your goal. And that is how it was for me, and I had not planned, and there I was learning from someone like Paduka and late Srimati Uma Sriram. Umaka was amazing in the way she would teach, and the little comments that she used to give me till date, I can actually hear her voice. Every time I do those Karanas, and it actually helps. My expression completely changes there, and it actually helped do the Karana much better. But what I'm trying to say is that even though your guru can teach you something like this and give you step-by-step directions, and then put herself into going and researching other dance styles and learning and incorporating and finding the similarities and differences and everything and giving it to you in a silver platter, right? Even then, I think as an artist, I feel like it's my duty to not just take it and then sit back and relax. Now, I don't think a true guru would want her student or his student to basically just take whatever they give and then sit quiet. The guru always expects their students to carry forward that research or that tradition and go multiple steps further and find more and more and more and research into it and add more to whatever has already been researched. So in that aspect, I feel like I've always been the curious person, and I've always had a lot of questions, and I used to have bucket loads of questions to ask, and I know in a very traditional setting, it is actually not a very welcoming thing. Not many gurus would actually be comfortable, because the attitude is that you do not question the teacher, you do not ask the teacher. So are you trying to say that the teacher is not quenched your curiosity? So why do you keep asking more questions and things like that? But I think that is not right. Just like how a teacher has the duty to make sure that all his or her students have actually understood every aspect of it, so they carry the correct knowledge forward, so they can continue their journey and improve upon it. And the thing is, I think the student also has the duty to make sure that if you have doubts, you would rather ask in a very respectful manner, and it does not matter until you feel satisfied. It is okay to ask the teacher and find out what it is, and that is what the teacher is all about. Teacher is a guide, someone who holds your hand and takes you on a journey, and who tries to take you in the right path of understanding and learning. That's the definition of a guru. So if the student does not come up with questions, then there is no interaction that actually happens. There is entire one side of the communication that is completely silenced. And I feel like the more questions you ask, the more you learn. If I'm teaching 4 kids a particular movement, and let's say a child in that does not understand, and she still does not understand in spite of me explaining, I cannot get irritated. Instead, I should actually find ways and means to try various examples or various methods to actually try and explain it to the child. So I cannot simply say, oh, the child cannot understand, or I cannot say, oh my God, you don't seem to understand, they are able to do it, you're questioning me, you're disturbing me, and you can't do those things. You have to be patient. And surprisingly, that is how the teacher becomes a better teacher. When you know how to explain one concept in multiple ways, whether that is the simplest form of example to the most complex, that is how the teacher becomes who they are. So it is very important to have that interaction, and no teacher knows everything other than Swami Dakshinamurti himself. It is very hard to say that that is my belief, my personal belief. I feel like I apply it to myself. I say that the minute I say, okay, I've learned it all and I already know it, then knowledge stops flowing in. So it is like when the minute you say that you have already learned everything and you're already an expert, you're already you have explored every venues and you know everything. The minute you say that, or the minute you think that, you have shut all venues of knowledge. That is my concept, that's my definition. So I feel that it is okay if a student asks me, or anybody, it does not matter what it is, if anyone asks me something, if I know it, then I share it. If not, I simply say, if you want, I can find out and let you know, because in that process, I too get to learn. So it is okay to not have that ego, and that is how a teacher becomes a good teacher and a student becomes a good student. So just to encourage all the youngsters out there, please do, but be very respectful. That does not mean you can be insulting, and remember never to insult your elders, saying that, oh, you don't know even this. No, that is not true. No one knows anything other than Dakshinamurti, Guru Bhagavan. No one else knows anything. He is the ultimate guru. And so it is important to remember to, whatever you have, doubts you have, or questions you have, it is very important to ask with respect. And this is a very holistic way of looking at learning or imparting knowledge to your students. So I enjoy it, and I actually enjoy analyzing these things and doing it. So instead of trying to say, okay, I can do this, I can do that, try to enjoy the movement, and I'm sure that all your teachers will be able to give you wonderful guidance in your journey, and I would like to wish all of you all the very best. And happy Tamil New Year's to all of you. Namaskar.